The Snow White live action remake comes out in March of next year, and it's looking like it's going to be another box office flop for Disney. There are a few reasons why this film is likely to flop, including the fact that the budget for this movie is really high. They not only had to make the movie, which costs a lot of money, but they also had to do multiple reshoots to try to fix all of the problems with this film, which is apparently a lot. Plus, Wonder Woman ain't cheap. But the main reason why this film is likely to flop is because of Rachel Zegler and her attacks on the original Snow White movie and the fans of the original Snow White movie.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird, weird.
And she has continued to do that, this time in an interview with Variety. So let's take a look at some of the things that Rachel Zegler has said in this interview and see how she's continuing to make things worse for the Snow White live action remake. By the way, the article is titled Rachel Zegler on Reinventing Snow White and Juliet and Facing Off Against Toxic Disney Fans. I've watched women get torn down my whole life. So we're already off to a great start. The social media outrage about Zegler being cast as Snow White only got louder as time went on. She began saying in red carpet interviews in the summer of 2022 that her version of the iconic princess wouldn't spend her days pining over a man. She called aspects of the original story weird and said that the 1937 film's prince literally stalks Snow White. Overnight, online trolls took shots at Zegler's disdain for the animated classic, deeming her unworthy of portraying the OG Disney heroine. So, first of all, these are not online trolls. These are fans of the original Snow White movie. And they're just asking, hey, Rachel, if you hate Snow White so much, why do you want to play Snow White? She grows somber, recalling the hate that erupted during that time. In all honesty, it made me sad that it was taken in such a way, because I believe that women can do anything, but I also believe that they can do everything. Zegler says. What she'd meant to convey was that Snow White wants romance, but has other goals too. I don't quite understand what criticizing the original Snow White story has to do with believing women can do anything. Let me see if I can make some sense out of this. When Rachel Zegler said that the prince literally stalked Snow White and that the original story was weird, what she meant to say was that she believes that women can do anything. And Snow White wants romance, but has other goals too, like not wanting a prince to stalk her or something. I'm pretty sure that's what she's saying she meant to say. And if it is, that don't make no sense. And if she thought her comments were being misinterpreted, why didn't she clarify them 2 years ago instead of attacking the fans? Like, this is starring in a remake 101. Don't attack the fans and don't say dumb things about the original. I don't get why that's so hard to do. It doesn't make any sense. But something else that doesn't make any sense is that Rachel Zegler is playing someone who's supposed to have skin as white as snow. But don't worry, they are not turning Rachel Zegler white. They have a different origin story for how Snow White got her name. As for that line about skin as white as snow, Zegler reveals that the new film has its own origin story for her name. It fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby. Not sure what version that is, but okay. And so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or person is remembering how strong you actually are. So instead of being named Snow White because her skin is as white as snow, she's named Snow White because her resilience is as white as the snowstorm she survived. At the risk of sounding overly negative, I will just say that parents have different reasons for naming their kids, no matter how dumb they are. And the final thing I wanted to discuss in this article was something that I found pretty funny. Rachel Zegler was talking about how her mom's favorite princess was Snow White and the reason why it was her favorite princess. She was my mom's favorite princess, Zegler says. When she was growing up, there weren't a lot of dark haired princesses, and that was the one she could relate to. So her mom's favorite princess was Snow White, not because she was kind, pure hearted, or courageous. It was because she had dark hair. If I thought like that, my favorite movie would be The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But that's all I'm going to talk about from this interview. All I really got from this interview was that I should probably stay away from the Snow White remake. I already knew that, but this just gives confirmation. But what do you think about this Rachel Zegler interview slash article from Variety? And what do you think was worse, this interview or my Rachel Zegler accent? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'm Running Man, and I'll see you next time.